Hello everybody, I just thought I'd do one final video before I tear the bike down. This is sort of the main stage that I would get a bike to really before I actually take it down. All the main bits are together, so all the large sections that need to line up with one another are all fitted. Obviously nothing's sort of finished, as I've said in previous videos. It all needs polishing and rubbing down still, so you will see some rough areas. Like on the front mudguard there, you can see it's quite rough on the edges, but all that'll get cleaned up in the next sort of stage. You will also see bits of brass pins everywhere that sort of all indeed together. These are not part of the kit by any means. They just holding parts together, so I know the fit. Some of the parts hold together with white metal rivets. Some parts I'm going to change to proper screws if I possibly can. And other parts are actually fitted with the detail parts, which is obviously not on the bike yet. There's a good 20-30% of tiny parts, obviously hose lines and carburetors and all the rest of it, that I can't really fit yet because they need to be glued onto the bike in anyway, and they don't join onto anything else. Like the headlight. The headlight just sort of sits on the front. The brackets fit, but the brackets are mounted to the headlight before I fit it to the bike. So there's no really need for me to put those on. So that's the reason why I haven't put on like the headlights and bits and pieces. They don't join onto anything else, so they can be fitted and slightly adjusted at the end of the bike. So they could even sometimes be painted, and you can sort of tweak them a little bit. But sometimes I don't paint them parts and finish them until I've actually got the bike. I'll start painting the larger sections and start building the bike properly, and then I will start painting the smaller bits. It's not always the quickest process of painting and doing it. Sometimes you should really paint everything in one colour and get it all done in one go, but there's so many small parts to this, it's just a bit overwhelming for me really to try and paint everything in one go. So I'll start to paint the bits that I need to paint to finish it, to start doing to start the bike in the main parts, and then the rest of the smaller detail parts I'll do in small sections as I need them. It's just the way I've always built. You know, these bikes are, as people who's built these, they are extremely well detailed, and there is a lot of bits to paint. You know, all white metal, you just can't paint it and stick it on. It all has to be primered, which I'll go into another video when I start primering, because you have to use an etch primer. So most of the parts that you actually will see, everything has to be primered. Some plastic kits, you know, you can get away without, but on white metal and resin, you have to primer everything, otherwise the paint just falls off. But as I said, everything's held together by gravity to a point. The crankcases are glued, I think I've mentioned, and the rear swinging arm is glued in two places. It's glued at the bottom, as you can see, the join, which will need filling and obviously primering, and then there's a small section at the top. It's obviously glued there. Now that's not just being glued on its own. There's quite a lot of stresses on the rear swinging arm. There's a lot that's hanging off that swinging arm, and it's only a very thin piece. Now I'm using a new super glue this build. I normally use a glue called Grip, which you guys in the UK might know of. I'll switch to BSI because my local model shop didn't have any Grip, which I'm a bit unsure of changing glues. I don't always like change, but he said it's good stuff, and it is. You know, I've thrown more super glue away than I've actually used some days because it goes hard, it goes off in the bottle. So I've got the medium and I've got the super thin, because that's quite good for getting into joins. And if you use it with an activator, the super thin, you can use a little bit of gap filling, and you can also use this stuff if you use it with baking soda. If you had baking soda, as you guys all know, you can use it as a filler, so it's quite good stuff. But the bottom one I have actually pinned. Going back to the bike, I put some brass pins in the bottom, and there's also, if I can get to the other side, if I can get in there and show you, at the top there's a join there that's been pinned as well. It just gives a little bit more support really to the joint. Sorry for the wavy camera, I'm doing it off my phone because it just focuses a lot better with the phone, so I'll apologise for the bit of a wobbly image. But going back to the bike, it just gives a little bit more support with a pin. It's only a very small pin. It's only probably like 1mm brass, but it adds a lot of stability to the joint. you can tend to get a lot of shearing forces on it when you try and bend the swinging arm. You sometimes have to bend the swinging arm, these pieces, and the bottom end to get the wheel in. So you have to basically pull on these at the bottom to stretch them apart. Now the white metal is very soft, so it will move. You're not gonna it's not gonna move, but obviously it puts a lot of stresses on the joint. So sometimes by just having a little bit of a brass pin there, it just supports the joint. But it's only places like that that I would do it. Everywhere else, generally, there's been no need. But it will come down to a bike by bike basis, like the Bruff Superior I pinned a lot more because it had a standard frame, so it had a two side frame. Where the way the Vincent runs is, it has underneath the tank, it has a small frame, and then the engine hangs off that, and the engine is part of the frame. So the engine is quite a solid lump anyway. There's not a lot of movement in the crankcases, so there's no really need to pin that. And there's quite large surface areas to do that, and it's also screwed as well. So the engine itself, crankcases are screwed together, so there was really no need to pin that. But certainly the rear swinging arm, I believed it needed pinning. I might have got away without it, but the last thing I wanted to do is get it together, get it all painted and finished, try and open the swinging, try and stretch it sometimes to get the rear wheel in again, and it breaks. It's not that it can't be fixed, but it would be a thing that I didn't really want to happen. So it's prevention rather than cure. So, models like this are designed as what they call expert build, which I don't like to use the word expert build. It comes down to a single person's ability to build a bike, but experience is what I like to use rather than expert. They've broken in the past, certain things like that. Even on some plastic kits, it's broken. So I've pinned plastic kits sometimes. So if you pin it, then it's done. It's probably a couple of minutes job to do it, and it just gives a bit more peace of mind, really. So anyway, I thought I'd just do a bit of a show around to show you what it's like. So next time you probably see it, it's obviously going to be in bits again. So and I'm going to probably try and get it into some primer. I do build quite slowly. I'm not the fastest builder in the world anyway, but with the current climate, obviously at the minute, I'm a key worker, so I'm still working. So it's just gaining bits and pieces when I have the time to do it. So for that, I'll leave it at that, and I'll catch you in the next video. If you want to see more, obviously like and subscribe, and I'll keep making the videos, as many as I can do. And thanks for joining me on this journey. Catch you later.